Well, this is Marshall, and we have Amber on from West Virginia. Amber, welcome back to Yowza.
Thank you, Marshall, for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you back. And it's been a bit since we've done the last one, and that's because of all of the heavy chemtrail activity you've been reporting. And you know there's going to be the doubters out there. It's like, well, what chemtrails, you know? So you sent me this really good chemtrail video from earlier this week. I'm going to play this now and have you talk my viewers through it.
I was actually in Cross Lanes, West Virginia, which is near Charleston, West Virginia. And
right.
I had stopped for a break and decided to film those incredible skies.
Has there been any relief you've seen since you shot that video, or is it still the same pea soup?
It's like that off and on. A lot of the times it's just gray outside. You can't see anything.
Yeah.
So it's pretty thick out there usually.
Yeah, it is. But you still have some observations from the end of December and in January I thought were very interesting, particularly this one you did at the nearly really the end of the year. I think from my records it was December 27th that you shot this. So I'm going to put it up and have you walk my viewers through it, because looks like you were driving through this one. So here we go. And here we have this video. You've got the object behind the trees. You keep spotting it there. And it's, how does a lens flare hide behind a tree?
This was an experiment. I decided to get into my car and hold my cell phone camera out the window and drive down the hill as I was filming the object.
Right. And it was very steady, very fluid. What I'm seeing here is, as particularly when you jiggle back and forth, how the object of interest jiggles back and forth. And just there, we saw that you had actually stuff in the foreground and stuff in the background that were both in front of the object of interest. And here we see it just disappearing altogether with the sun as it goes behind these trees. Stellar observation.
Yes, that was a great experiment.
Well, that was a really excellent observation. And you then had another one. It was a shorter observation on January the 1st of this year. So let me bring it up and have you walk my viewers through this. And here you're in a parking lot.
Yes, I was in Bridgeport, West Virginia. I believe I was at the mall.
And it's interesting, the object is caught like in the jaw of a scissor here.
Mm-hmm.
That was interesting, but even more interesting than the one you got on the 1st was the one that you did on the 23rd of January. So let's take a look at that one. Amber, walk my viewers through this.
I was in Fairmont, West Virginia that day, and I had stopped at the plaza there, in one of the plazas in Fairmont, and I decided to, for once I could actually see some blue in the sky, hazed over. There wasn't a lot of chemtrails, so I decided to see if I could do an observation.
Well, you got this one, and I really like the way that when your auto exposure adjusts, it's very clear.
Mm-hmm.
Well, those were three very interesting observations. And I've also been getting observation reports from other people who've been inspired by your work, at least to share it with me as opposed to sitting on it and waiting for their families to ridicule them. That's how it goes with denial, you know. Bliss of ignorance wins every time. And I want to show these to you. We have the first one, and then I'm going to go straight from that into the second one. And let's take a look at these other observer reports. This is a still from Philip Sinclair in Somerset, Massachusetts. He has been sending me an awful lot of videos and stills, and I thought this was pretty representative of what he's been sending. Next up, this is an observation still from Steve Dix in Flagstaff, Arizona. By the way, all of these have been vetted. Now, this is interesting because he's been observing this object several times and just took a still picture to corroborate what he's been seeing with his own two eyes. Well, I appreciate what Steve and Philip are doing. They're not the only ones that are sending me stills and videos. I'm seeing more and more corroboration for the object of interest you're tracking, as well as the other two objects of interest we've been tracking that have been observed. For example, last year in October on Ophelia Day in England, when people were actually standing out on the street and looking at three objects in the sky. It was very unusual viewing conditions. And if you're interested in learning about that, we have an excellent article on our site at yowusa.com. So be sure to check out the Ophelia article. Amber, for those that are starting out and they're feeling a little frustrated, how about a little sisterly advice here?
Well, it does take a concerted effort. You do need to make an effort every day to view the skies, see if you have a decent viewing condition. You need to, what I did was I started taking note of the object in the evening as the sun was beginning to set. And then gradually I started, if the sun was setting at 7, I would gradually, backtrack a little bit to see how, could I still see that object at 5 o'clock or so. And I also started paying attention to it when I was out and about during the day. Started really paying attention to the sky, paying attention to the sun. And I just became familiar with what times of the day I can usually see the object if the skies are clear.
There you go. So rather than relying on assumptions for a quick and easy one-trick pony observation, you're taking a heuristic scientific approach to it. Just soldier on, keep doing it, and wait for it to come to you.
Absolutely.
Excellent. Well, Amber, I hope the skies are going to clear up a little more. We can get some more observations.
I do too.
From your lips to God's ears. Thank you, Amber.
Thank you.